surprised how little you need. And with neck, for the neck you need even less.
So that what you've mixed up is enough for all of us?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, easily. I can put this in there now. So the filling, now this Zercote is a little bit more closed poured, I think, than the average rosette. Some Zercote has really open pores. This stuff is not bad. But still, the process is the same. I'm going to take my filling pad now. And initially, I'm going to, let's see, I think I want to be on this part of the fad. I don't like that stripe. It seems kind of smooth material. That'll be fine. So, I'm going to go quite wet initially with shellac and with alcohol, about half and half shellac and alcohol. Now, the books and the articles on French polishing say don't use any shellac in your filling fed, just alcohol. And the idea is that the shellac that's on your guitar from the spit coat is going to mix with the pumice and make it hard like cement. But what I've found is that the spit coat isn't enough to mix with that pumice. And what was happening when we were following the rules, which is the rule says don't use any shellac on the filling side. In fact, one expert French polisher, he says, just get right rid of your shellac. Don't be tempted to use it at all, only alcohol. I couldn't actually ever figure out the reason why. Anyway, we did that for years, and what was happening quite a bit with our guitars, now and then you have to put masking tape on here and there, and we'd pull the masking tape off, and
you take the filling
everything would come out of the pores.
It wouldn't hold.
Yeah, the shellac that's over those filled pores would just pull all the pumice out of the pores.
The alcohol is no carrier.
No, so then I started putting shellac in the filling fat, about half and half with alcohol, and since then I haven't had that trouble. So anyway, I'm going to put some pumice on this fat. Now, sometimes I put a bit of olive oil in here too, just to lubricate it, but as I did with the other fat, I'm just going to put some in the back, just here. And that'll work its way through eventually. One guy says you should always have olive oil when you fill. Anyway, now I'm going to rub this in, but I don't want to leave a wet slush of this pumice on here. I'm pushing kind of hard. I want to work it into the pores, but I don't want to leave a wet slush. So I'm just going to kind of spread it. And I'm going to look carefully. You have to actually look at it and see that the pores are getting filled. An area where they're not filled, you just have to go over it again. I find almost, now I kind of take a different part of the fat and kind of clean off the slush. If you leave too much slurry, you're going to have a lot of sanding. The people who are really expert at this, which I'm not, they usually are able to fill without having to sand at all afterwards. After that, they just start French polishing. But I've found I always have to sand a bit. I always have a little bit of patchiness where I've left some pumice. And I'd rather do that than try to clean it. A lot of the time when I'm trying to get it too clean, I'm just pulling it back out of the pores. So now here, you can see this is quite filled. You've got to have a really close look at this now. That's kind of filled there, you see? Mm-hmm. But here you can see there's a colony of open pores there.
Yeah.
You see the difference?
Yeah.
Between what?
Here, there's a colony of open pores right here. But this is quite nicely filled.
Yeah.
You see there's a difference between there and here. So you want to look for that. That's open pores there, a bunch of them. But here, this is kind of nicely filled. Here, there's open pores. They're really obvious, those ones, because they're bigger.
Yeah.
So, gotta try to get them filled. So that, there's still one that's open. I can make this, I can put a little bit more pumice on here. I'll wet this a bit more pumice. Yeah, and you don't want to get pumice dry on the guitar, because that's when you end up with, see,
With a layer.
this is all open here. You've got to push a little bit and force it in there. Now that's pretty much filled. Yeah, and I'd rather leave a little bit of a layer to sand off than pull it all out. So here, I'll fill again where I saw those open ones. Okay, that looks pretty good now. And I'm just going to carry on and go around. This is the French polishing is really nice work, but I haven't met very many people that like this filling step of French polishing. But it's something you just got to,
If you,
you got to do
Yeah.
it and go through it. Once you're filled and you start French polishing, it becomes really just kind of like a meditation.
You can't skip
It's just
it.
fun, but you can't skip this
No.
step. It's just one of those things. You got to do it.
Okay. Well, you got.
So I understand right that just for first time on fat,
Mm.
you have to put half and half shellac and half coat.
Yeah, and you
and
kind of
then
keep it
just
like that. No, just, no,
you can.
just keep it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
just it's no, the proportion's not important,
Okay.
but keep some shellac.
Okay.
That's what I found. My experience that it stays in the pores better.